Here's the start and promises to Shara. Winds up that left hand.
Archbishop of basketball, goal! He hung on that net like a stalk up a tree. NTA Sports 24 brings you all sports, all time and all day. Tune in to watch NTA Sports 24 on Star Times Channel 270, Star Sat on Channel 434 and Free TV on Channel 731. NTA Sports 24, where sports thrive.
From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS.
major destabilizing act. That was the coup of 1966. And of course, there was a counter coup. We went into a civil war fought by our great men and women in uniform. And they were in their very early 20s and early 30s. One of them is here, our father, to keep this country one. And I think it's a measure of responsibility on the part of this country to continue to respect and to acknowledge the contributions of those who stood for the territorial integrity of this country at a time it mattered most. And to show that Nigeria is a great nation, a nation bound for greatness. In 1979, President Shagari picked his running mate from the East. It was a record. Even in the United States of America, the South that rebelled never had that opportunity to serve in a major position after the Civil War. Nigeria broke that record. And if things went on normally, it was most likely that Chief Alex Ekweme would have become president after President Shagari's tenure. And you look at the fact that some of them have mentioned it, we have expanded our infrastructure, expanded our university, education. The system has been expanded exponentially. There's no doubt about it. From one university college to 5, then to whatever number, over 200 universities today. We have every cause to celebrate. And whether we're talking about health, we're talking about infrastructure, we've made tremendous progress. I remember in 1972, I left my village to do my HSC, my A-levels in Jos. And I could tell you the quality of road we used. From my understanding of those days, and still I reflect on this, it was horrible. This was truncated road, but it was what? Laterite. And the hills, if you look at the terrain of the plateau, the hills, it's not easy to pass through. We could go down. The drivers might be putting the wedge, and we thought we were going backwards. But we survived. It's so much that we have been able to achieve. Above all, our unity as a people, our territorial integrity. Look at the way of Rwanda. Look at what Rwanda has gone through. Look at the way other nations have also gone through. You talk about Iraq, you talk about Afghanistan, you talk about even Egypt. You talk about Canada, you talk about Spain. These are Canada, Spain, even US. These are advanced democracies. They also have challenges. Challenges of, I wouldn't say nationhood, but challenges that are geared towards personal interests, regional interests, and so on and so forth. But these have not been so sufficiently strong to destroy these nations. In Spain, attempts are being made at balkanization. They have not succeeded. Canada is the subject. We go to Quebec, they talk about the uniqueness as French, Francophone people. You go to America today, what is going on? It's awful. You go to Australia, but again, they're forging ahead. And that is why I continue to say we have every reason to celebrate as a nation. And I have absolute confidence in the ability of our people to weather any storm whatsoever that tries to deter our march towards greatness.
Thank you so much. And from that perspective, we'll say, well, It's a journey, but not heading towards a destination, but evolving progressively. So looking at that, from what Senator George Akume just said, a lot will say we're heading somewhere. He has given a general perspective, but people keep hinting on it has been the challenge of purposeful leadership. How do you analyze this?
Well, Nigeria is 60, it's not yet utopia. There are still threats to our security, to our unity, to our objectivity as a nation. But we have handled those we have had in the 60 years rather remarkably well, because we are still in the threshold of having hope for a better Nigeria. We've recited what we've gone through in the last 60 years. Most major challenge that strikes me is the constitutional crisis we have had to go through, and the threats to life and property, the insecurity, the instability of the economy, challenges in banking and in the criminal industry in Nigeria. We have come through them, we are still going through them. I wouldn't say that in the present state of the world that our problems and tribulations are unique. As earlier said by His Excellency, even the advanced countries do have this incidence of insecurity. We read about in America, gun-toting kids go out and kill people in school. We read about the policemen killing people discriminately. And in recent, we have the issue of black matters. So the problems are not unique. We have our peculiar problems, but to me they are simple. They are not as hard as the ones we have gone through from 1966 in particular, or right from 1954, election in the Western region, and then of course the negotiations that took place for us to have a government which didn't stand, because by 1966 all went loose. There were even threats of genocide, civil war and all that. But at 60, from 1960, when we gained our independence, we had a break from our development from 1914 to 1960. And I think from that break, as narrated by His Excellency, we have had this progressive development. We have had retarding development and setbacks. We still have the challenges in education, in health, in agriculture, mention it. But I think as at today, after 60, we are poised with the resources of manpower, with our natural resources, God-given, to face these challenges. As he said, we now have the manpower from our universities and institutions of learning and of developing our economy. I think that at 60, we have good cause to compliment ourselves, because we survived.
Okay.
And we are still living.
Okay.
We are still hoping. And the challenges will be faced by our leaders. Our former leaders, you can say they were analog, and we are training those who will be digital, who in the course of years will have to face the modern civilization from digital to artificial intelligence. So we have challenges, ahead of us, okay, and we can handle it.
Thank you so much. Let's go to Mrs. Yetunde. Mrs. Yetunde, I want to tailor my question from this perspective. If you look at two paradigms, the idol of the theater and the idol of the marketplace. The idol of the theater says, we come on stage, we perform and leave. And that scene comes. Now the idol of the marketplace, we come to the market, we sell, we close shop, we come the following day. Nigeria, seen from the perspective of the idol of the marketplace, do you think it is Uhuru or we are still building up?
Thank you so much. And for everyone that had talked, really, I don't think I'm going to differ from what they have said. First of all, let me start by saying this. We should congratulate ourselves, and then we congratulate the country. Staying together at 60, fine. It's still not bad. We've gone through one civil war. It can be better. And going to your idol, the marketplace or the stage, you close the market every day, you go home, you come back. But one thing I don't want to run away from is that the next day should be better than the previous day. So whatever we have seen yesterday, what didn't go right yesterday, be prepared to make it right tomorrow. And that is just the issue of learning, and you keep learning. Knowledge we talk about, education we talk about in the country. And even today, the education we have in Nigeria is getting more and more diversified. So whatever had happened yesterday, tomorrow must be better. So probably you have shifted that to me. So that means at 60, at 61, things will get better. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, we have to proceed. The first phase of this scenario, we looked at the historical generic, but we want to go to specifics. Now, fast forward 1999 to date, Your Excellency. Would you say that we have developed in terms of, would you say at this stage we have gotten a settling, entrenched political culture at 60?
Well, yes, I'm a very positive thinker. And because I have been involved since 1999, I speak substantially from the position of some authority. By the time we came in 1999, there were doubts as to what the democratic future of the country was. People thought our democracy was just a form of interregnum that would just be a passing phase again on the democratic face of the world. The fact is, from 1999 to date, we are still a democratically elected government with respect throughout the world. The khaki boys have never come calling again. I want to believe, and we do respect that this culture of democracy has not been firmly established. That doesn't mean that democracy does not have its own shortcomings. But the truth is that, all over the world, democracy is the preferred system of government, no matter its imperfections, because it allows for inclusion. It allows for the people to freely choose their leaders. A method of election may have some little hiccups, and we're not an exception. But substantially, we have been able to pick our representatives. Since 1999, I've been in public service, 8 years as governor and 12 years as a senator. Until I was defeated in 1999. And that's it. No hard feelings. Now, by the time we came in 1999, you know, the minimum wage was what? Was it? It was less than 18,000.
18,000.
About that.
18,000.
This was moved over to 20 something, now 30. Those are the take home. But it was something the worker was very proud of. The economy was growing very slowly by the time we came in. Then there was massive expansion. Privatization became the policy of government in recognition of the fact that economy must always be private sector driven if you want to make impact. There was massive privatization of public enterprises, even if there were some mistakes. Yes, we made some mistakes, no doubt about that. There was massive expansion of the economy. Telecom, the oil industry was opened up, Nigeria Airways was opened up, and so on and so forth. Power was unbundled. Yes, hiccups, but that's the pain of new development. Those who advanced never made it overnight. It took some time before they achieved stability in the economy, in the way they manage their affairs politically. And so we're being on the path to that. Like our colleagues from Lagos has also stated, we are on the right track. Massive expansion, not just in education, will open up the educational system to private sector participation too. And that is why today you have private universities that are so solid. Some could even challenge public universities. Individuals who have universities, missions of their universities and so on and so forth. State governments have expanded too in that area. The university system has really become more vibrant. New courses have been introduced. Review of the curriculum for the university system. And it's quite wonderful. We are moving fast. And again, it's for those of us who attended school locally, we always celebrate this expansion. I was at the University of Ibadan at that time. They were just introducing new programs like law, engineering, and so on and so forth. Okay. And today they have even expanded more than that. Okay. And above all, under the 1999 constitution, the states were also given a measure of autonomy to operate maximally and efficiently within the context of their own resources too. Of course, we had the local government functioning as a third tier of government. Before that, local government was a mere extension.
Your Excellency, I'll come back to you on the third tier of government.
Thank you.
Let's quickly go join former Senate President from 2005 to 2007, Chief Ken Namani. Good to have you join us on Tuesday Live, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much.
To you, if you're following the program, we gave it a generic perspective. But quickly, I remember in one of the episodes within the democratic governance process in Nigeria, one big challenge you had then, which led you to address the Senate before the open sitting, and you said, all man to himself, everybody will answer his father's name. Now, looking at this, what would you say regarding so far so good separation of powers in Nigeria?
Well, I think the present administration is taking it to a real higher level. That they're raising the bar. And I am glad to say that the development is quite positive so far. Because starting from our elections and the ability for people to make choice of whom they would like to lead them, free, fair, and credible election is the beginning. It gives hope to people. So as long as people realize that at least for every 4 years, you pass a kind of vote of confidence or vote of no confidence on our leaders, so people will be much more careful in what they do. So I'm delighted that the present administration is giving meaning to that freedom of choice of leaders. Although we still have some areas that we are not yet getting correct, and that has to do with our recruitment process, our recruitment of our leaders in terms of party politics. Because if we had good party primaries, it will result into a credible election. People will feel free. But the bitterness that tend to trail our primaries are carried over to general elections. And that is a situation where you talk about anti-party activities. So I don't know for how long we're going to learn before we become a little more perfect in what we are doing, especially in this electoral process era. But what is happening in Nigeria now gives hope that the present administration under President Buhari is trying to give real credence and meaning and hope to people, to the electorate, that the vote counts. And the sanctity of ballot box is being brought forward now, and that is a good thing for the country.
Before I go to Lagos, still on you, I remember vividly at the time you put your foot down, maybe you're trying to parry that question, third term, you were very emphatic on that particular day, and this was a period people expect at your level you would have compromised. But you said, all man to himself, everybody answers his father's name. Can you tell us in perspective your analytics in terms of separation of powers, checks and balances, fast forward 1999 to date, comparatively?
Well, you see, I'm glad you are going back to that issue of 2006 constitutional amendment. It required what you call a political courage. And that's what my humble self and my colleagues did on the floor of the National Assembly, particularly the Red Chamber, the Senate. We figured that publicity tends to confer legitimacy to any human endeavor. We tried to let Nigerians see exactly what we are trying to accomplish. And that was why TV, we requested media coverage. And a station called AIT played an outstanding role to the end, throughout all the proceedings. Because, as I said, we figured that if people were fully aware of what was going on, they will not say that we have compromised. And that gave rise to the speech I made before on that fateful day, and 16th of May to be precise. I said that, yes, we have to answer our father's name, because as an Igbo man, chances are that they say, people will say, oh, he must have collected money and he has compromised. No, every person has to stand up and speak up for record purpose. And incidentally, the verbatim reporters did their work, and the media tried to help us too. And we made sure that every person spoke. And it ended on the floor of the Senate as it did. As I said, it required political courage to say enough is enough. And that was the time God helped us, and we did it. It was a collective activities of the Senate in particular. I'm glad I had a very matured group of people at that time, people who knew that they were representative of their people. They were the trustees of the people, and they lived up to it, and they gave me all the support. And I couldn't have done it alone, but I had the support of eminent Nigerians, senators at that time. So, yes, we did. We stood because we knew what was going to happen. At least we suspected that we were going to plunge our country into a lot of darkness if we had gone the way the pressure came. And people who asked me to clear the gallery, send away the media, declare it, anybody who didn't like it can go to court. That was a popular statement I was getting, but we stood our ground that the gallery is for the people to know what's going on. That's the publicity aspect I was talking about. So I think in a way it has helped our democracy to grow and mature, and that is our little contribution.
To you, Honorable, let me leave it at that for now. Now, before we go to Lagos, let me take on General IBM. Now, from what Senator Namani said, let's bend backwards and look at where have certain things gone wrong. If you follow shades of opinion currently, analyzing Nigeria 60, some won't know it's time for us to be balkanized. Where lies the place of ethical value mindset reorientation?
This is a very pertinent issue in our next phase. As earlier said by His Excellency, the khaki boys, that is what I was before, have not come back to dabble into the democratic journey. I think that it is not that there was no cause for it to happen, because people in our present environment would like to dethrone the democracy that we're enjoying. They are calling for revolution, violent change, without real perception as to what will happen. And there are threats to that. And I think that the government, the people and institutions have to cooperate. The labor is now at the neck of the government. The educational institutions are also in some schism with government. I think fundamentally in trying to develop our democracy and avoid the violent revolution or the other coup options, we have to strengthen the electoral commission. We have to allow it to develop and carry the people along with a system that will bring about a credible election, a fair one, that will stand the test of time. Therefore, the electoral process or the process of democratization has to be strengthened, and the institution best perhaps suited to that is the Electoral Commission, and they're developing a system that will lead us on and will be durable or sustainable. But I want to talk about the notion that the economy should be private driven. But I am worried because the colonial past, we know that adventurers built wealth on exploitation of the wealth of the colonies, and that is why nationalism had to fight for independence. And my worry now is whether private sector will fall into the same methodology of getting wealth by exploiting the poor or the public sector. And that is the challenge we have with respect to corruption. We note that privatization, commercialization actually did in some way exploited the public wealth. And we are faced today with the challenges of corruption. And most of it had risen from the exploitation of the system by the elite. It did not exclude the politicians who ride on the back of say, corrupt enrichment and wealth, because the political system seems to be taken over by godfathers who are rich and can always play the puppet game with their representatives. And I get worried now that the elite and politicians getting compensated very largely after they have served, maybe as governors, as members, as senators, with houses in the capital, houses in Lagos, stewards, change of cars. I get worried because some of us who have put our lives in the line and served 35 years don't see the kind of security and guarantees that are given our political leaders. And I think the whole system must be built on some equity, some kind of fairness, and fair reward to keep a stable and sustainable social relationship and the economy. And I think that this development of public sector, private sector, must be guarded in the sense that it doesn't build the kind of cleavages and frictions which we now have between the have-nots, or the opportune ones.
Thank you so much.
And that way we will improve on our democratic journey.
Maybe the area you touched on, we'll come back to find out how we may resolve that problem. Let's go to Lagos quickly before we take some reports now. Mrs. Yetunde Akinluyi, as the Secretary of the Lagos State Economic Team, let's look at the economy. General IBM has hinged so much on the private and public sector, and lately we hear a lot about diversification. Sometimes someone said the economy has always been diversified, but it is how to structure it for things to work. So from your analytics, we are doing 60 years. By your experience, let's look at the economic realm. How has Nigeria fared?
Well, thank you. Because time there was, we had the large industrialization of companies. We didn't have much of entrepreneurs at the time. But now, I think we have more of those entrepreneurs coming up. And the more you have them, I think the economy is spreading better. At least it's going down. It's not as if it's only at the top for some people. For private sector people, I still believe they have to be they have to be part of government to drive an economy that will thrive. Now, looking at it from what General had said, that we're talking of democracy, there's stability now. So because of that, commerce can go very high, and it is the way you actually want it to be. And one thing is here playing out for us now in the world that we have. Technology has come to play out itself. So with technology in hand, a lot of companies, a lot of ventures are coming out. And that by so doing, people will have something to do for themselves. Economy really can never be static. And like I said, people cannot be static. You have to crawl, you have to walk, the important thing is that you must move. So from having large corporations, the small ones are coming up as well. The medium scale too, they are there. So there's something for everybody to fit into. Now, the problem is, where do you fit into? Can you identify your own area? And then you continue to flourish there. Many people tend to blame one thing or the other on the other person. But why blame others? Why don't you just contribute your own quota? Do the best you can. All of us cannot be at the top at the same time. All of us cannot be CEOs of great companies. But somehow, you can actually manage your own small enterprise. And once this is coming up, everyone is busy, economy is thriving, there is a rebound effect, and the world is moving. Even Nigeria is moving. Thank you.
Okay, if you're just joining us, we're taking a look at Nigeria at 60, and we're going to the analytics of sectors. But we'll begin with these reports. When we come back, we'll sustain the conversation. But our first report today is coming from Lagos.
1st, 1960, when Nigeria got her independence from the political grip of her colonial masters, Nigerians were resolute in their quest to build a self-sustaining viral economy through agriculture and an abundance of mineral resources. In the early years, being a country dependent mainly on agriculture as its source of revenue, a remarkable 70% of its population partook in the production of staples like cassava, yam, and beans for food. As the nation strived to diversify its economy, the iron and steel industry was established with a whopping 1 billion naira allocated to the sector to boost industrialization and employment generation. In that period, the nation's fortunes turned around in the 70s when Nigeria's crude oil achieved a boom. The country became the world's 7th largest producer of crude oil, and attention slowly and steadily shifted away from agriculture.
With the advent of oil, the diversification of the economy was affected. The inclusiveness of the economy was affected.
The revolution at the time increased Nigeria's earnings astronomically, paving way for rapid industrialization with economic indices growing favorably at about 8% per year. By 1980, Nigeria had emerged a formidable economy. The return of the country to democratic governance in 1999 caused a leap forward in the economy, with significant growth in all sectors: telecoms, aviation, banking, and agriculture, alongside private sector involvement in human capital development, made positive spines.
Out of course, the GDP, Nigerian GDP, about 59% is from MSMEs. For every 10 jobs in Nigeria, MSME account for 7. But I must say that the current government, the kind of cooperation that we have received as MSME is unprecedented.
It should be noted that after the sun sets on oil boom, successive administrations formulated policies to reduce the country's debt profile and increase external reserves. Cutting inflationary trends remain a priority of the federal government. Poverty alleviation schemes are still in the motion, with the much-needed enabling environment provided for foreign investments and wide-scale industrialization. Reforms in the power sector are evident for the strengthening of other sectors. The expansion of the railway sector is an added boost, and the recent global meltdown caused by the coronavirus pandemic. Financial analysts are optimistic about Nigeria's monumental future, urging all sectors to draw lessons from 6 decades of nationhood as springboard towards a more healthy economy.
Still keeping faith with the 70 years of Nigeria as an independent country, let's take a listen to this report from Kaduna.
The attainment of independence in 1960 after a prolonged era of colonial rule was a defining moment in Nigeria's history, with vibrant political actors propelled by regional ideologies engaged in fierce political struggles to reshape the destiny of their regions in tune with the spirit of inter-regional competition of the moment. For those who witnessed the events that characterized the dethronement of colonial administration and the enthronement of self-rule, the euphoria and dreams of that moment were without borders.
At that time, I was about 11 years old. We came out from the primary school, we lined up on the street, then we sing, we take flag in the white and green. We were waving, we were singing, we were enjoying our moment of time with friends. Then we laugh, then we are told what independence is all about.
However, with a visionary and assertive leadership led by the premier of the region, Sir Ahmadu Bello, the northern region was able to mobilize its resourcefulness and compete with other regions in all fields of development.
All the leaders are at one to see that the unity of the country is maintained, and therefore, naturally, you get the tail of every party trying to drag the party one way or another.
Post-colonial northern Nigeria has witnessed development in all tiers of education in terms of infrastructure, enrollment, and multidisciplinary instructions, leading to delivery of manpower needed to feed the public and private sectors and business concerns of times. Transport infrastructure and healthcare delivery services were also taken to higher levels of development. So were the art of printing and the mass media of communication. As Nigeria marks 60 years of safe rule, observers are of the belief that the unity of purpose that guaranteed her survival and progress so far is an asset to be consolidated.
From Kaduna, we proceed to Jos Plateau State.
Nigeria's journey to nationhood is momentous with nostalgic feelings, especially by those whose reminiscence of history unveils images of reality rather than illusions. This can only be said of those who did not just read in books or heard through stories how Nigeria attained nationhood, but who were actually witnesses to the developments. Nigeria, of course, has come a long way as in her 60 years of nationhood, she has produced both military and civilian leaders, each with their unique style of leadership. We sought from our respondents their unforgettable moments and lessons therein.
We were very proud belonging to a country of the size and the potentials of Nigeria. All of us. People were welcome in every part of the country, and we were very peaceful.
The wisdom and efforts of our founding fathers to secure independence for Nigeria, they work hard, they sacrifice a lot.
At 60 years, Nigeria is just a young country. Others that have developed have been in the hundreds. But we have the potential to be there.
God loves this country beyond one's imagination. What you see happen in other countries, like natural disasters, flooding, that sweep up the whole cities. What we have here is nothing compared to what we see.
Nigeria has come quite far, and we take it for granted. The future is ours if we continue in this spirit of unity and understanding.
Nigerians are a people that yearn for change, and for those who have seen both sides of life, nothing is more desirous than unity and peaceful coexistence. It is the belief of these notable Nigerians that Nigeria will not only come out of its challenges, but will come out stronger and better for the good of all its citizens.
Just before we take a break, let's take this quick one from Enugu.
At 60, many believe that Nigeria has successfully navigated the vicissitudes of life, irrespective of global environment full of threats from different directions, including the latest, which is COVID-19 pandemic. Respondents, while praising the sacrifices and inputs of those who genuinely put in efforts at sustaining democracy and rule of law in Nigeria, believes, however, that a lot still needs to be done.
Our heroes past worked hard to get this country together.
The 1979 Constitution has remained the model guideline for governance, which has, however, seen several amendments and suspensions for decrees by the military regime. Nigerians are of the view that leaders should go back to the drawing board and resuscitate the binding force which has kept Nigeria as one indivisible entity as espoused by our founding fathers.
In those days, you hardly knew where people came from. Some of my closest friends were Northerners, Yorubas. Nobody cared where people came from. We communicated, and nobody was seen as an indigene or non-indigene. It appears that the war mystified and removed the fabric of unity in Nigeria.
With the coronavirus pandemic, which put all sectors of economy on hold, it is believed that lessons learned will be implemented with the gradual reopening of the economy.
So if we can take care of our youths, we can actually take care of the problems that Nigeria eventually is passing through now. Nigeria is a unified country, because if what happens in Nigeria happens elsewhere, there will surely be a breakup.
Respondents hope that more attention be given to insurgency and security, employment and establishment of industries, as well as education and health, and reduce causes of incessant strike actions by labor, make politics less attractive, and be more committed to peace and unity of Nigeria.
These are reports coming from Lagos, Kaduna, Jos, and Enugu. We'll take a short break. When we return, the conversation continues. Nigeria at 60. Stay with us.
is a rich nation of green land, rich resources, countless crops and commodities sufficient to feed and provide a means of livelihood for her teeming population. Chin up, Nigeria, the giant of Africa. Exciting times are here. We can be self-reliant and grow our economy if we work together to explore our potential. It takes a whole nation. Let us get involved. Buy Nigerian to grow Nigeria.
For now, the best and most efficient way to avoid getting infected is through regular hygienic and sanitary practices, as well as social distancing. As individuals, we remain the greatest weapon to fight this pandemic. By washing our hands regularly with clean water and soap, disinfecting frequently used surfaces and areas, coughing into a tissue or elbow, and strictly adhering to infection prevention control measures in health facilities, we can contain this virus.
Coronavirus is real. Steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real.
NTA Tuesday Live, a network issue-oriented innovation talk show.
Thanks for staying tuned. If you're just joining us, it's Tuesday Live tonight, and you can be part of the conversation through our phone number, which will be displayed on the screen, and also our Twitter handle as Tuesday Live NTA. A couple of tweets came in while we took the reports and the breeder. But beginning here, let me go straight to the Minister of Special Duties. It looks as though a lot of things are not happening in the economy. Before I go to Senator Ken Namani, can you please give us a brief? What really is your ministry doing to add value to the economy?
Well, thank you very much. Before I go into that, let me just quickly pay tribute to the former Senate President Ken Namani for standing firmly in defense of democracy. At a time, many Nigerians checking out. He, a few governors, and others, including Citizen Buhari at that time, stood up prominently to resist a veiled attempt to impose tyranny on this country. Talking about third term agenda. Having said that, I quickly want to add that when you say people are saying nothing is happening, I would say everything is happening in the economy of this country. Now, my own responsibility as a ministry, or my service, is to coordinate interministerial and agency functions as designated by Mr. President, and to also work closely with the private sector for the purpose of creating jobs and so on and so forth. And that is basically what we're doing. Recently, I think yesterday, we also met with the cooperative societies the issue of bringing succor to the transportation sector. And it's a project that's so dear to all of us, and it will provide vehicle buses for the cooperatives and across the country. We're working with other ministries in what we call the interministerial initiative, which comes under the presidential initiative for the purpose of providing industries in one industry per local government, 774 local governments, based on economic corridors. And you could just imagine the number of employment opportunities that these industries will offer. We're working with Targon for the purpose of also improving transportation in the states and rural areas. But again, when you say nothing is happening, when Nigerians said, they mean indirectly that everything is happening, maybe not at the speed that they would want it to be. Sometimes we easily forget that by the time this government came to power in 2015, the economy was already in recession. It is a credit to Mr. President that he put in place what he called the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. And through scrupulous implementation of this plan, the economy was pulled out of recession in 2017, and we started growing at the rate of 2.5% per annum. The GDP was growing very fast, to the surprise of even advanced countries. The World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, gave credit to the economic ingenuity of the present administration. We also grew foreign exchange reserves substantially. This thing has depleted to 20-something, even to $19 billion by the time we came in, and moved to 40-something. And don't forget the fact that by the time we came in, the price of oil had collapsed from $140 per barrel to something about $28 per barrel. And the quantity also dropped significantly from 3 million barrels per day to sometimes, I think the list was 600 or so 1,000 barrels of oil per day. In spite of that, this administration was able to jumpstart, so to speak, this economy, growing at 2.5%, and then of course increasing foreign reserve to at a point 42 billion, but I have plummeted to $21 billion. So it's a remarkable achievement, even at that level. Then, of course, there were so many interventions, and these interventions are working, whether in agriculture, infrastructure, manufacturing, power, and so on and so forth. Look at transportation. The colonial rail system is being modernized. Well, look, two-track rail system. From Lagos to Ibadan, it will move over to Kano. And then, of course, the other one from Port Harcourt through Kenugu Benue to Maiduguri is going to be refurbished to make it more functional in the interim, not as modern as the other side. But it's an achievement worthy of celebration. Today, the President commissioned the Ajakuta, it is a Takwe line, to all the way to Wari, in Delta. This major achievement, people felt that line was completely jinxed. But things are taking shape. Look at the roads. Express roads are being constructed in virtually all the states. These major trunk A roads are under construction. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic has played hop with our development. It has affected the economy. It has also, by extension, affected some of these projects. I'll give you an example. The way the Chinese were going on this road from Abuja to Makurdi to 9th Mile in Enugu, they would have gone far by now. They would have reached Makurdi, but because of the virus. So when people say we are doing everything, okay, and you go to power, today we generate and distribute 5,000.
I mean, if I give all the time you want to take of them, then let me just hold it there for now and come back to you.
No, I just want to quickly add this
let me
one
allow you just a second.
in the area of education. I talk about curricular review. More universities have been set up, but above all, specialized universities. And in the area of health, look at the way we are managing the pandemic in this country. To the surprise and outrage, or even the Western world, the curve is going down now. And the ANPC says what? They are doing what? Establishing major health facilities in each of the geopolitical zones. We really are into all sectors. Education, we're coming on strong. In the fight against corruption is going on. Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit is doing its work. The EFCC is doing that work. ICPC, nobody interferes in what they do. And that is why more funds are being recovered. Stolen assets are being recovered. And the ease of doing business has put us as one of the 10 top countries in the world that has improved so significantly in that area. So if you look at the economic sustainability plan again, which is based on 5 pillars, the first is to do what? The real sector, grow the economy through what? Generation of so many jobs in the private, in agriculture, in housing, construction, transportation, and so on and so forth. Bring up 20,000 to 100,000 hectares of land under cultivation in the states. You see, so agriculture, mining, transportation, manufacturing. You heard from the Lagos Secretary General what is going on in the economy. So much is going on. If you talk of even security, don't forget what we inherited when we came in 2015.
We'll come to security. Let me just...
so in the area of economy, even NPC, transparency...
We'll conclude on that.
And they have also reduced
Let me quickly go to Senator Ken Namani. Senator Ken Namani, key to what the Minister of Special Duties has reeled out, quite a huge list there, we'll still come back to other areas, is good governance. In the governance process, if it is bad, we can't galvanize or mainstream all this. As Senate President, you were seen as an embodiment of good governance. How may we entrench good governance in all this?
Well, by seeing what is good and praising it, admiring good work. By the way, I start by thanking the Special Duties Minister, Senator George Akume. I thank you for your kind comments. You see, the good work that is being done, if we praise it, people can do more. I'm one of those who hesitate to call our country a great country. We are yet to be great, because great countries, people don't trumpet it, they don't say it themselves. It's not as outsiders and few other people will say it's a great country. We're working towards greatness with people like Minister of Works, Fashala, and Minister of Transport, people who are doing some solid work for the economy. If you travel from Enugu to Port Harcourt by road, you will appreciate what this present administration is doing. The quality of work not just tarring the roads, but real layers of tar, layers, such that it differentiates it from merely polishing the road with kiwi. You know, kiwi, what we use in polishing shoes. We polish the road, after 1 or 2 years, it peels off. That's self-deceit. We deceive ourselves a lot. But currently, if you notice the type of roads being constructed now under this administration, under Fashari as the supervisory minister, Enugu Onisha Road, Enugu Port Harcourt Road, Owerri, Port Harcourt Road, all these roads are first class. I guarantee that most of those roads will last for over 30 years without going bad. It shows the love of this administration has for the people. Because we waste too much money, we deceive ourselves by doing shoddy jobs, and then it doesn't last. What is going on now gives one a peace of mind, joy in terms of quality of work, quality of delivery. So what the minister has rolled out, he's in the administration, he's working. We are the consumers. We go on the roads they build and the railways. We are very satisfied with the quality of work and the quantity of work that is going on. They can do more, but as it stands now, it's not just by making noise, but I will urge a little bit more publicity so that people can see the thing that is going on. If we keep quiet, it will appear, as the Honorable Minister said, we're not doing much. A lot is happening, but if people don't know, the assumption is not that not much is happening. But in the real sense, if you travel, if you have the opportunity of going from one state to the other, you see the work of this administration. I'm personally impressed with the quality, the thickness of tar, and what they have in mind is to build something that will stand out as a legacy projects. Quite a lot going on. So we spend too much time politicking instead of governing. Right now, we're trying to differentiate between the political time and the time period for governance. And that is what we are involved in. I noticed that a number of people are already veering towards politicking, 2023 and so on. The present administration still has over a little bit more than 2.5 years to deliver. I think all hands should be on deck to encourage them to deliver before we continue being professional politicians. We just want to move from one election to the other. So I think it's important to encourage people that are in the seat of power to do more for the people and leave something that Nigerians can cheer. We are not where we should be. I must point out that all is not well, because if you know that in the 1960s, countries like Korea, South Korea in particular, I don't think that country was doing better than Nigeria. But today, many multinationals are coming out of South Korea. They have Hyundai, Daewoo, Sony, not Sony, LG Electronics, and quite a few other, Kia Motors. All these are multinational corporations operating worldwide. And yet, South Korea has not even a pint of oil under their soil. Not so far. They haven't discovered any. They purchase almost everything from outside, but they do a lot of business. That everywhere they're competing in automobile. So many things. If you go to Germany, you see Kia Motors competing. The same thing in the US, especially in Michigan, the home of cars in the United States. But we have to concentrate and see areas where we have economic advantage, where we can excel, not just the sale of crude oil. And it's becoming less attractive these days. So we have to look inwards and see how we can make our country better. Good thing we don't have tsunamis, other natural disasters, other countries suffer. What we probably have in Nigeria is human tsunamis. We do so many things that we shouldn't be doing. But there's a lot of reason to be hopeful, given the type of administration we have. Talk about the issue of corruption. this government is having the courage to investigate the investigators, and that requires political courage again. And it is very important that the government gears up more and fights the issue of corruption. Security, we talked about that because there are 3 plans on which this present administration came to power. The security, improving the economy, and of course, the other aspects. So I think that Nigeria requires a lot more action in terms of curbing the corruptive tendencies in the country. I just read one of the papers, I don't know the validity of the claim, 2.something billion naira was found in an account. It was supposed to be for these palliatives or something. It's possible because some people are not afraid anymore. I don't know why that should be the case, but I think self-discipline is very important. There's no way government alone can fight corruption. We have to put in all efforts, all hands has to be on deck to avoid people siphoning the fund meant for public goods. And then we say that we are not moving fast. How do we move fast if our hands are tied behind by people draining the resources with which we can move fast? So it's important that we all take the issue of fighting of corruption seriously. It's not just the EFCC or ICPC or the government itself, but everybody. Security is very critical, and the government is doing its very best in that area. Maybe we have to put in more efforts because if there's no security, people they talking about not doing much, not moving fast. We'll go at a snail speed if security continues the way it is now.
Let me hold you there for now. I'll come back to you for other perspective. Already General IBM has filled his job. He needs to respond to law. But let me quickly run to Lagos, then come to him. Mr. Yetunde, listening to the minister and Senator Ken Namani, can we also take a listen from you? Tourism, creative industry, and informal sector in Nigeria.
Wow, those are the areas that are actually on top. The creative industry, it's like it's a bomb and we're still not there, and a lot had coming. The creative industry is taking us to a new pedestal, and you may think we are there yet. We are not, because that is the only thing that is keeping the younger ones going. Different schools are around. If only all these resources and energy can be channeled towards one thing, a film village that will be very, very complete, then you can imagine where we will be. The New York Film Academy did not start in one day, but today now it is a world standard. But the Nigerian creative industry is going far, far, far ahead. The youths are no longer talking about unemployment because there's something for them to do, except they don't want to do anything. And talk about tourism. Lagos, I will say, a lot of the waterways, so many areas are there for us to explore. And even in areas of tourism, we are still, let me say we are still exploring. It is still not yet at the point that we should be. But the good thing is that government is not resting on her oars. A lot of work is still being done. They're looking forward to it. How this can now be harnessed for us to take it to a higher ground. And you talked about one thing again. What's the third one? You talked about creative industry, tourism, and I can't remember the third one you said. Are you there?
The informal sector.
Anyway, so let me do power sector. The power sector. Okay, for the power sector. At first, when Nigeria became independent in 1960, power was very, very constant at that point in time. Going on further, power was getting scarce. Just because the population we have today was not what we had in 1970. The population that we have today was not what we had in 1980. So for the power sector, it's still growing and is exploring. But my take on power sector should be, maybe we can look into small modulars as to thinking of something very, very large to fill the entire city. But for the power sector, we have grown away from what we were, and we're somewhere, but we're still going somewhere. For the sectors you've mentioned, we are moving on the right track. I will always say that, because I don't think we're going back. We're moving forward. But for those sectors that you've talked about, there should be ownership, whereby whatever is being put in, there must be the local players as well. We're not going to import players from abroad. They should be here. And then there should be transfer of technology as well, so that all our people can fit into this. And talking about the creative industry again has actually interested me so much, because there are so many younger ones out there. They want something to do as well. And then the industry is still exploring. The industry is still expanding. If only government can play a very good role. Government is trying, I must say. I don't want to condemn any government the way I am. Like I said in my first statement, yesterday, maybe not what you like, but today is better than yesterday. So all these industries can be put in a way that we're moving forward. And I just want to commend for those, I want to commend those that had worked there, for others to come in and see what is it that you don't like. Let me put it in. That's always been my own philosophy about life. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And back in Abuja, before we take one or two calls, General Aruna, I know you have chatted a lot, but let me specifically ask you, what can we do to revive the local government system, the 30 of government? Okay, let's take this caller before you respond. Our first caller tonight, Aliu is calling in from Port Harcourt. Hello, Aliu, you're on to Tuesday Live. Hello, Aliu.
Hello.
Good evening. You're on to Tuesday Live.
Hello.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello. Good evening. Yeah. I'm glad to. Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Hello. Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. Good evening. I'm very excited to be part of this conversation in NTA. Yes, can you hear me?
Ali, please go ahead.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Oh, it looks we have network challenge. Please, let's proceed. The local government system, how may we revive it?
Well, reviving it is...
Remember, Senator Akume touched on it briefly.
Yes, but reviving it is not like going back to say they survived the native authority system, the colonial system, and indirect rule. But reviving it in the context that it will be functional in our present circumstances, I think calls on reviewing the Constitution, reviewing the federating units, such that the three-tier system had been, in my view, an experiment. So it all devolves on amending the Constitution so that the devolution or the sharing of powers on the federating units would allow the federating units to devolve within their region or their state their own creation of what is suitable as a local government or municipalities or independent communities. I think the way it is now under the Constitution, we have had challenges where the president sat on the revenue to be disbursed to a local government. The local governments have been suspended and caretakers appointed, all against the spirit of the Constitution. So the solution there, I think, is that we should continue the dialogue and examine the viability of getting governance down to the grassroots, because that is the essence of governance, seeking life and well-being of the people, and the people are funded from the grassroots, the local governments, the communities.
Okay, let me just interject. Joshua is calling in from Abuja. Hello, Joshua. Hello, Joshua. You are on to Twitter Live.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Go ahead.
Please, I would like to contribute a little.
Go ahead.
Yes, I would like to contribute. Yes. Good evening.
Go ahead,
concerning
please.
The issue of Nigeria, we are at 60 years now, but it looks as if we are moving forward by taking a step, and we are moving backward by taking like 3 steps. The reason is that the corruption in this country it's like a pandemic. Everybody wants to make money. Our people, they are not ready to work. Our people, the so-called politicians, they are there. They want to make more money. For example, the NDDC that is going on, they were doing probing. What is the function of senators and the rest? The oversight function. They don't do it. They will go to fight. Immediately when they give them money, they will keep quiet. That is one thing. And again, the standard, what people are doing, what I mean by standard, when we are doing, I want to produce a radio and bringing it to Nigeria. By bringing it to Nigeria, the Standard Organization of Nigeria, they will look at it. Immediately when they give them something, they will pass it away. They will say, oh, it is okay, it is okay. That is part of the corruption. The president cannot see all this. The vice president can never see all this. Even though majority of the so-called ESCC, SCPC, and some other agencies that is looking for corruption.
Well, that's what we could take from Joshua. Joshua called in from Abuja. And quickly, before we take the next line of report, Your Excellency, Minister of Special Duties, this tweet from Saleh Baba is touching on an area you had touched before we went to Lagos. It says, good evening, Nigeria at 60. We're supposed to celebrate with joy, but unfortunately we find ourselves in a backward development characterized by killings, kidnappings, banditry, and so on. And what caused all this is injustice on the part of our leaders. You were talking on issues of security. So how do you react to these tweets?
Well, first of all, I've already stated that we have every reason to celebrate. We have some security challenges, breaches, but that cannot stop us from celebrating, because we have already listed areas where remarkable development and advancement have been made in this country. So what we're witnessing today is just a passing phase. From the dreaded Boko Haram that it was in those days, I want to state emphatically that it's no longer so. We have retrieved a lot from Boko Haram in the northeast. No doubt about that. We have degraded Boko Haram. They have been reduced to a guerrilla insurgency. They attack from time to time, and it's like guerrillas, you know. And even advanced countries don't handle that the way Nigerians want us to handle. it looks like everything about security should be as instant as coffee. So solutions should be as instant as coffee. It doesn't work out that way. Turn by turn we are moving. We have degraded them. They are aware of this. And look at what happened to the U.S. Army in Afghanistan. And not that America is not great, it's still the greatest power in the world. But see what they've gone through in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and so on and so forth. Russia, they had their own turn in Afghanistan and in some other areas of the world too. So this alone should not stop us from celebrating the joy of independence. And we have come a long way. We have developed a new system, the presidential system of government, and we believe it is working. Because now we have a very strong center that is also holding us together. Like Father here, our great Nigerian, great citizen has said, he mentioned local government, yes. Closest to the people, that's a grassroots tier of government. Yes, I do know that there are some little hitches here and there, but we need to strengthen it. We need to give it more autonomy than it now has, so that they'll be able to use their resources to create development at the local level for the benefit of the majority of our people. Not all of them will go to the capital. Not all of them will come to Abuja, to the state capital. Not all of them will come to the national capital here in Abuja. The people live substantially in this respective local government. So I think it's a matter of strengthening them. That's all. Make sure that they are independent. What belongs to them is given to them, and with supervision, they should be able to carry out these developments, building of rural roads, building of clinics, they call them dispensary or clinics, of course building of markets, and the markets are also generate revenue for the local governments, and of course again maintaining some form of security at that level, working with the chiefs and so on.